How the heck are you guys? I'm Fastidious. This is HWZ. Let's talk about Live Arena, but let's specifically talk about blessings. Blessings become more and more important as you get deeper and deeper into Live Arena, but you should know about them from the get-go. Which blessings to pick for your champions and which blessing icons on the enemy team as they select their comp, which of those icons should be like, oh, they have that and this guy has this, maybe I should avoid that, right? So what are the key blessings you want, and then what are the key blessings you want to avoid when the enemy champions have them? So H-Dubs, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on. I have to talk about some more Live Arena stuff.
You're my Live Arena expert, man. Like every time, you always are so nice to me in the DMs answering the questions. I'm trying to get good at this, but it's a crazy learning curve. I had someone in the comments being like, for the account I'm on right now, this is the account I run with Larry, the Fastidious account where I drive the Live Arena. He's like, why are you having someone drive the Live Arena? You should pick someone like HWZ or Cruisin'. And I'm like, how am I ever going to get even close to as good as those guys if we don't start somewhere, right? You got it, right? There was a time where you weren't an expert, right? You got to work up to it.
Exactly.
So you're going to help me right now, but you're going to help the viewers as well. How do we work up to it? Let's talk about blessings. These are the 7 units I'm using right now. How are these blessings looking to you? Anything catch your eye in a good or bad way? I figure we start with that, and then maybe we hop into just going group by group in the blessings and talk about your general thoughts on everything.
Yeah, they look pretty good, man. I like the crackling roots on Siegfried. I think that would be the only one you could consider like an alternate for Lightning Cage. A lot of people run Lightning Cage on him.
Lightning Cage is a cool one. What do you see as the big benefit specifically with Lightning Cage on Siegfried?
I would consider Lightning Cage. Crackling Roots is cool as well, but I would consider Lightning Cage just so that, let's say you do get nuked and his block damage procs. You have an opportunity to keep that block damage because you do have champs that ignore block damage or will strip that block damage as it procs. Like Marius will strip it as it procs and can kill him. So his Lightning Cage will help just add another layer of security.
Yeah, a little extra protection.
Yeah.
Sorry, we did a quick little cut because I realized I had put Marichka in the vault to make space when we were yanking a ton of primals yesterday. Go check out that video, guys. We did 930 primal pulls. It was pretty wacky. This is kind of working. Actually, the reason I was like, hey, where's Marichka? Because I didn't know what to put on her. We don't have a 5+ star blessing. I mean, obviously, it's still a good 4-star blessing. This seemed like a cool one to slowly chip away at them as they revive. What did you think?
Yeah, Life Harvest is a cool one. I know a lot of people, use it for sure. I actually don't use it much, but there are a few champs that it can be really beneficial on. I know some people might use like Ward of the Fallen on her since she will be the last alive, and you want her last alive. But I think there's a few ways you can go with it. You can go with Sheep. You can go with Ward of the Fallen. Give her a bit more chance to survive there. I don't think there's really a wrong pick between the three.
Fair enough. Well, I think this is a nice transition as we've clicked through a couple of the blessing groups. I don't know if that's what you call it, but actually, let me move myself out of the way so people can see all the logos better. All right, here I am, tiny in the corner. But yeah, we're already here. We got these blessing groups or whatever you call it, categories: light, dark, war, chaos, harmony. I figure let's start here. And yeah, we don't need to we don't need to take everyone's time and break down every single blessing, but just what do you think are the key Live Arena blessings group by group?
From light, I would say Intimidating Presence and Lightning Cage for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Intimidating Presence is, I was sleeping on because on my main account, I don't have units with 5 and 6-star souls at all. I don't have many units with 3 and 4-star souls. I've got Alice and Fabian because those are the freely accessible ones with the 5-star soul. I was really sleeping on the potency of weakening the aura of the enemy, the way that compounds with the strengthening your own aura. This has blown me away. You can see I've leaned pretty heavily into it, getting 3 of my 8 units I'm using with it. You kind of have to have this on somebody, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Because, at the top end, especially as you get closer to the top, stats become tighter and tighter between players. And things like Intimidating Presence start to make a huge impact for you on gaining an edge. So,
and yeah, even at the base level, just with 1 star, that little 2.5% and then the decrease of the enemy's aura by 5%. That could be the difference in certain battles for any kind of player. But definitely as you get deeper and deeper, and maybe you've got 1 or 2 guys with the 5 or 6 star one. I mean, strengthening your aura by 15, dropping them by 20. If you get that 6 star strengthening by 35%, I mean, that's a huge amount of speed. Let's be honest, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing is this is also a great one to help inform your ban decision, right?
Definitely. Because if your opponent is picking someone that has 6-star intimidating presence or even 5-star, you kind of know what they're trying to do. Because every combination of champs you pick isn't going to necessarily rely on it, because you could be planning to go second, like I do most of the time on the accounts that I drive, just because it's a bit safer if we don't, confidently have speed or confidently be able to show speed, as I like to say, to my opponent. It just informs you of what they're trying to do.
When you say show speed, do you mean like present, hey, like don't F with me, I'm going
fast. Yeah. So certain situations, I'll show speed to my opponent, and that will try to persuade them into, not trying to go first, or maybe just quit, right? Because like one of the accounts I drive on does have like empowered Erebus, fully awakened. It's like, all right, bet. Let me pick the empowered Erebus, fully awakened first, and then pick another very fast champ after. Show them all the speed that I have, and maybe they'll be a little thrown off with their picks because now they're trying to figure out how to stay alive.
Totally. What I've been doing on this account is we've got the 6-star soul on the Armands, the 6-star soul on the Shuzen, both with the intimidating presence. I try to pick them first when I go second, and sometimes I can scare people away because it's like, do they even want to bother? So those are nice, getting the freebies, right? To stay in the light category, we kind of talked about Lightning Cage, but this is a really cool one, and it seems like a very popular one, huh? Because it gives you that, like you said, that extra security, that extra protection, and it just kind of, limits the chances of them throwing you off.
Yeah, definitely, especially with how important buffs are. Obviously we have polymorph, we have polymorph, right, that we want to avoid, but we've got pinpoint now, we've got champs that can even remove sheep, so stripping buffs is a lot less scary than it was a year ago, and it's also very important for winning. And not to mention almost every mythical can strip buffs in some way or remove buffs, whether it be by duration or just an outright strip. So being able to keep those buffs is huge. Sometimes a make or break situation for you.
Yeah, I think this one is very, very strong, and having that protection is huge. Going here to our lower rarities, I do see Heaven Cast here and there. This is not the scariest logo you see on an opponent, but this can be a lot of extra damage, right? Especially at the higher levels.
Yeah, definitely. I think some people use it for sure. It was a lot more popular back when like Necrit was more popular. Haven Cast definitely a popular option. It's still used on some people. Like everybody doesn't have He-Man, but Haven Cast is still popular for champs like He-Man.
Absolutely. Anything else here catch your eye? Miracle Heal's very nice in PvE, but doesn't seem like much of a PvP one.
Yeah, not really. There's very few use cases, for the others, whereas, you could pick a better option like Indomitable Spirit. Why not go Chainbreaker?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
speaking of which, that's coming up pretty soon. Let's just work our way down though. We got Dark here, a couple nice ones. What are the key things you want to point out?
I would say stay away from temp chains if you can, especially because of Marius. Marius has picked a ton. If you watch the video we did on like pick ban win rate, you're going to see Marius in a ton of fights. And if you have temp chains on your champs, you'll pretty much be punished for it. It's almost suicide. So kind of stay away from that. Water the Fallen, still very useful on a ton of champs, especially DPS that have a lot of survivability. Like Rotos, Water the Fallen still use a lot. Taraz, any HP based DPS you can use Water the Fallen on, just because they're going to be able to survive even when their team has died. Lethal dose, cruelty. Dark is kind of loaded for
Yeah.
PvP.
Do you use cruelty? So I think maybe we'll finish off with lethal dose, but cruelty to me this is such a PvE blessing.
It is, but some people even run it on Marius, man. I don't do it myself, but cruelty, because you're gonna be using champs like what's it, Queen of Hearts, right? Some of the other debuffer CC champs might use cruelty, but it's not overly popular, I'll say. But you might see it. It's one that you might see.
Here's a question, because I honestly don't know the answer. So when it's decreasing the target's defense per hit, so like if Marius is coming in with like a triple hitter, that's minus 12%. That's how that calculates.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty spicy. So yeah, maybe niche, but could have some play for sure. Especially maybe if you're at like lower awakening too, because this can be some of these other ones you really gonna want higher or higher star level to make work. I guess finally lethal dose. I just learned a hard lesson 2 days ago. I went up against my first of this new Arachna Elixir lethal dose Nell Calvalax scary thing. I couldn't believe how hard this deletes all your units.
Yeah, it's especially with the new relic, man. It's kind of crazy how it got buffed like that.
Yeah, but the relic takes it to a new level. So I guess the tip for the viewers is probably if you see someone wearing this, like maybe be weary because they probably do have the right setup. And if you want to use it yourself, please don't do it unless you have the relic, which is the new Faction Wars relic. All right, on to war. Maybe let's start with Chainbreaker because you just mentioned it. And yeah, it's like I guess you could be using a rare unit, but you're not going to be doing that ever. So like, why would you pick Indomitable Spirit over Chainbreaker? Chainbreaker's pretty good. You can see, I don't know if you 100% agree with this, but I actually have it on my Nice. I feel like the only way my Nice is going to be in trouble is to get CC'd. So this is a little extra protection.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most popular blessing to use on him.
Oh, cool.
Is okay. Chainbreaker. Yeah, just to keep him going, because if he does get stunned at any point, it pretty much just like nullifies him. So you kind of want to keep all CC away from him, and Chainbreaker is a step in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. The chance is still pretty small, even at the higher star levels, but it, like you said, it can save your fight as opposed to letting it all crumble. So that's a cool one. What other kind of units would you want to think about for Chainbreaker?
Chainbreaker for PvP, not many, honestly.
So it's kind of just like your really key solo-y DPS. Not that there are that many that could get thrown off with the CC. So kind of like It's perfect for Nice.
Yeah, perfect for Nice. Like I would argue you could use it on someone like a Sigfrin who plays a similar role, right? Yeah. When everybody dies or is about to die, he transforms. You kind of need him to not be stunned. Otherwise, kind of nullifies the
whole second form. Yeah,
exactly. So I would argue for it, but I still, don't think it's, your 100% best choice that you could put on him. But for Nice, definitely.
We got one here, Commanding Presence. This is the baby version of Intimidating Presence, which we discussed earlier. This one's pretty huge. I mean, like if you don't have a legendary, like it, especially at the lower levels, this still has a place. The big difference is you don't get the weaken component, but everything else I think is pound for pound the same. Right? It just doesn't get the weaken. I think every other, 2.5, 7.5, 15, 35. Yeah.
Yeah, so solid for, I don't know, epic turn meter boosters. What's your name? Golden Reaper, I think is popular. But yeah, if you have an epic turn meter booster, you can definitely use that.
It's an option. It's something to keep in mind. All right, what else we got here? I don't see, we talked about Life Harvest earlier, right? This is a nice little counter option for certain units. I don't see as much Soul Reap as I would have expected in Live Arena.
Yeah, I think people have kind of shied away from it over the last 6 months to a year, just as we've gotten more mythicals, and the bulk of those mythicals you don't really need the Soul Reap. And because that True Fear can proc polymorph, it's just more to think about. Another layer of RNG.
Yeah, more stupid complexity that you can't control.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Definitely.
And you're saying because the more mythicals, because they just all hit so hard, you don't need a little cleanup job?
Yeah, you don't really need the cleanup. So
It's kind of
as
funny.
we've gotten the relics, as we've gotten better gear and sets over time, people just shy away from using it. The best use case is like when you're trying to finish off a boss, so you can get that speed run time if you have a 6-star.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, what I would have thought as a big PvP blessing is kind of become only real use case you see as a PvE use now.
I mean, I still use it on certain champs, but it's like if you have, let's say you have like 5 or 6-star, right, on a PvP champ DPS,
Yeah.
you're either gonna pick, Soul Reaper Sheep. Most people are gonna lean towards Sheep polymorph, right, for 6-star, especially if it's a DPS. So, like I was mentioning earlier about like Lightning Cage, the importance of not, being stripped of your buffs. Chainbreaker for nice, things like that. Like, there's very few champs you're gonna be like, yeah, Soul Reaper is gonna be 100% the best option, and I'm gonna take that over polymorph.
Yeah. Fair enough. Speaking of DPS options, Crushing Rend, this is one I wanted to shout out. I think you'll agree with me. I see people using this a lot in PvP, and to me, this is pretty strictly a PvE blessing. So I think maybe some that will be obvious, but don't you agree with that? And this is a big tip for viewers.
Yeah, I think it's huge, obviously, for PvE, but for PvP as well. I'm actually running 6-star.
Oh, you are?
Crushing
So I'm wrong.
on my
So that's good to know then. I'm glad. I was wrong. That's why we got the expert.
On Harima.
Really? Okay.
So, yeah, she's already going to decrease defense with her A2 already. Every time it hits. So just adding the Crushing Rend, just try to get champs to as close to ignoring 100% defense as possible.
So even if it's only 6%, it's still a lot. Like you're still feeling it.
I mean, that could be the difference you need right there, because let's say like I'm using decreased defense a ton, right? Because I'm using Odin, I'm using Gizmak, who also plays decreased defense in his all form. Like I'm still using decreased defense because we have Pinpoint, Helm Smasher proc plus that 6%. We're getting very close to 100%, ignoring 100% of defense at that point.
All right. Well, how about this?
Plus ignore defense set.
Will we at least agree that if you don't have a very high blessing, you should avoid this in PvP?
Yes,
because I mean,
100%.
Okay, yeah.
If you
it's like 1% defense,
6-star, you should be avoiding it already anyway.
Yeah,
because it's only for the start of the round. So if you don't have 6-star, it's only for the start of the round. So let's say you go into like any fight, right? Is only going to be for the first 2 hits of that round, right? 3-star, only the first hit. So it almost has like no real application. And I don't even remember if this is like correct, but in Hydra, some people were arguing that the start of the round was when a head respawns, and some people were saying it's not. I don't remember what it actually is at this point anymore, but
even still, right? It's like for how many hits you're putting out in Hydra, and it's only the first 2, even if it is each head. I mean, that's still pretty low uptime.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think really good point there, right? Because even at the 5-star, basically in PvP, you're only ignoring 2%. It's really the 6-star where you get the nice chunk. But yeah, really good shout that it does sound actually very viable. Here's one: Incinerate. This is a beautiful thing on your HP burners, huh?
Oh yeah, 100%. Some people don't like the 6-star. I think it's amazing. It's worked wonders for me since I've gotten 6-star. I really like it, obviously, because we get the decrease in turn meter whenever they receive damage from HP burn, and we're doing a ton of damage from HP burn. The only issue with 6-star is Marius, because you will proc his passive, and it'll pretty much be suicide unless you're able to do damage very, very quickly. So as long as the opponent doesn't cut in and take damage and start to take damage with each of them going, you won't get this like barrage of counterattacks from him. Otherwise, against any other team, any other opponent, it's amazing.
Yeah. Can also be like rage inducing because a lot of people might not consider like, oh, he had incinerate, oh, he had the 6-star blessing. That's why my turn meter's dropping. And it's just like when you're in that live arena setting, you're like, what is even going on? You know, it's like
Exactly.
nice way to trigger that thing with it inside of your opponent. Here's one. No brimstone, I would say, right? I see too much brimstone. I guess because people just have the high awakenings and those are their good champs, but
Yeah, it's not a go-to for PvP for sure.
and then here is a go-to for PvP.
Yes, polymorph, 100% a go-to. As much as I hate to admit it, I don't use it much on my account just because I feel like if you overly rely on it, you know, you don't play to your strengths. So I feel like yeah, amazing blessing. You should use it, trust me. But if it doesn't proc and you don't benefit, and it's kind of like, why do I have this on? So
Well put. Yeah, like when you're on offense, you don't want like your whole strategy to be relying on this amount of RNG. But for
yeah,
when you're doing defense or what they have to go up against, it's the most annoying thing in the game, I would say, at least in PvP.
definitely.
Sweet. All right. Any thoughts here with the survival instinct emergency heal?
Emergency heal. Not really. I mean, I use them a bit in PvE, but not really in PvP.
Yeah. Yeah, PvE can do a lot of cool cheesy stuff with that. Survival instinct I actually have seen a little bit, but I'm much lower than you. I would think this falls off a ton, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I keep clicking out. I'm sorry. Home stretch here. Thank you, H Dubs. Now we've got our Harmony ones. I'll let you guys see the logos, and I'm gonna officially just move myself back over here. We actually kind of already talked about cracking roots, but this can be cool, right? Like Stone Skin is super pesky, but would you say this is a bit more niche?
Yeah, definitely a bit niche because you have to have a champ that does enough damage as well for it to actually work. Because like even me testing on like with the Hegemon on my account, try to get a decent build on him. It's gonna work. It's gonna be great, but you have to have an amazing build already. Like if you're considering going in and stripping all of the stone skin with it, you have to have some pretty amazing stats to do it. It's not just like put this blessing on and it's going to work for you.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you had the 6-star blessing and you're 2xing your damage, you need a ton of damage to begin with to have any shot. Because Stone Skin is so pesky. I see Nature's Wrath a lot. I feel like this is one of the epic blessings I see the most. What do you think about Nature's Wrath here?
I think it's also pretty niche because
Really?
you have to have some.
Maybe because I'm in silver.
Oh yeah, maybe those people are using those champions in PvE.
They're double dipping
for that, and then they're bringing them in because you need someone who's going to be placing debuffs and doing damage, right? In order to get the most out of it, right? That's also assuming that your fight is going to be longer than it probably should be. So
that's a good point.
It's not really something you're going to see much at the high end.
That's good to know, yeah, because you would need to put out a high quantity of debuffs a few times to start maxing this out and really taking full advantage. And you probably would need to lean on higher star levels as well. Anything else here? I encountered my first harmonic impulse the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually haven't encountered it just because like you're anticipating that you're going to be feared. Yeah. This means that either you're going against a Taras and you don't have stone skin, or you don't have pinpoint, or your opponent is going to go first. And I think that you're already losing if you're.
It's already a tough situation to be in.
You're already in a tough situation, yeah. So prepare better, and you won't need it.
Be better. Yeah, no. With this, I had no idea what the logo was. I was like, "What is this pie chart with only one quarter?" I didn't even realize it was a Pogwitch. So I went running, and I was a little bewildered. So this is one I wanted to make sure I asked you about because this confused me a bit. I think that basically takes us home here, huh?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time, H-Dubs. Viewers, we just did another video as well, doing like a live arena tool with a great like percentage list, a percentage sheet. So how often different units are picked, how often they're on the winning team, how often they get banned. It's actually pretty powerful, and it can really help inform who on your roster you should be bringing in, because that's who the top guys are all using. But yeah, I mentioned that also to plug the video and say you've given me a lot of your time today. We filmed 2 videos. We've been going nearly an hour. So I really do appreciate H-Dubs. You got any final thoughts?
Oh, man, guys, happy rating. Thanks for having me on, Fasti. Always have a good time, man.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Guys, if you want to know more about H-Dubs, I'll have a link to his channel in the description and the top pinned comment, as well as a link to his Discord in case you want any account coaching or takeovers for Live Arena. The guy is clearly an expert, as you can see. And finally, if you want to start playing raids, start a new account, start fresh, whatever, you can use my link in the description, top pinned comment. Best link in the land. Thank you for watching. Share it with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.